Colorado's in the middle of one of its driest years on record, and yet there are people who spend their whole working days thinking about floods. Our Mark Salinger found them just as busy as in any other year.
We've done a lot of stories on the drought this year, and while everybody talks about how dry it is in Colorado, there's a team in Omaha, Nebraska, preparing for what might just be the last thing on most people's minds.
I would tell you there's always flood risk, even in a drought.
Meet Katie Cephas.
And I'm always preparing for that next flood. It might not look like I've got a lot going on right now, but I do.
In the middle of one of the driest years on record in Colorado, it's her job with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to be ready for when it rains. A lot.
A weatherman has a tough job, but a water manager has an even more tough job because we have to utilize what the meteorologist says and interpret that and try to determine what our risks are.
Katie and her team manage reservoirs in the Denver area like Chatfield, Cherry Creek, and Bear Creek. They were built decades ago for flood control. Not a whole lot of people are thinking about floods today, but Katie always is.
I think there's always flood risk. It might feel like there's no flood risk today, but those big storms aren't always forecasted.
Her current forecast shows an active drought throughout the state, with parts seeing exceptional drought. But the outlook is different. Her models are showing an above normal precipitation outlook through August, September, and October, with the need to prepare for an El Nino through next year. What she can't predict is the next time her reservoirs will be needed to hold back a flood.
At this stance, we're not hugely concerned because you're right, it can hold a lot of water. But we're still watching it.
Back in September of 2013, 8 to 10 inches of rain fell in the metro area near the Cherry Creek Reservoir in a very rare storm. Once flooding subsides after an event like that, releases from the reservoirs are increased to make room for the next possible flood. Katie spent the summer going back in time, looking at soil wetness and snowmelt data to try and see trends and similarities from years past that could help us prepare and predict future floods. At Cherry Creek State Park. For Next, I'm Mark Salinger.
The Army Corps of Engineers focuses on flood control, while the state's in charge of administering water rights. Water levels at the reservoirs managed by the Corps are down about 10 feet compared to a couple years ago.